All right, well, welcome everyone. I think we'll officially get started, especially knowing that for many of our attendees, it is late into the evening, so I want everyone to be able to get to their bedtimes tonight. But want to welcome everyone to our first Spotlight event, looking at the Supplier Portal. Many people in Veruzu have worked very hard to get this out into the public. So very happy today to be able to spend the time with everyone to review the Supplier Portal. Our agenda for this session is that by the end of the session, we're really going to look at it from both perspectives. So first, we're going to start with the client portal setup. We're going to be looking at the customizations available for each client to set their theme, terms and conditions, and supplier requirements. We're also going to look at how a client invites a supplier user to the portal. And there's a couple different user roles that a supplier user can have. Then we're going to look at what that experience is like once that supplier user receives that email notification, letting them know that they've been registered. So we're going to look at what their landing page navigation looks like. We're going to look at the process of advancing a purchase order through each stage, approval to invoicing, and the process and next steps of disputing or rejecting an invoice. All right, so without further ado, I'm actually going to give presenter rights to Sajid, who is the expert for Veruzu. All right, so Sajid, we're just waiting to see your screen here.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Nicole, should I kick off things?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. We are here to demoing you the Supplier Portal that we are going to augment with our existing theme and application. And the purpose of creating Supplier Portal is that before Supplier Portal, once the purchase order is submitted to the Supplier Portal, everything was being done out of the system. So after the introduction of Supplier Portal, it will become very easy that everything will be done electronically and no out of the system communication requires in order to complete our procurement business flow. Okay, so first of all, we will discuss how the supplier companies can set up or can theme their supplier portal application in this purchase manager admin panel. We have the supplier portal link in the left navigation menu, where we have the settings link under the supplier portal, from where we can customize everything. For example, we have the facility of providing the vanity URL to the supplier company. They can customize their URL so no one else can, easily access the supplier portal's URL. Okay, so whatever we can write here, for example, supplier 123, it will be appended at the end of the URL of supplier portal. So that will become the authenticated URL for the supplier portal, and without that URL, nobody could access the supplier portal. After that, we have the image settings. We can have 3 types of images for supplier portal: the login page, the favicon that appears very next in the tab, for example, this one, and the company logo on the supplier portal. Okay, so we can, set any image, whatever we want from these 3 places: for login page background image, for favicon, and for company logo. After that, we have supplier invitation configuration. It means that we can, I mean, write anything, whatever we want to show whenever we send an invite to any user for the supplier portal. For example, we can update uh, the email subject and the email message, whatever we want to send to the invitee. Okay, and okay. After that, we have some rules for supplier portal. For example, we can make we can make it compulsory that whenever a supplier portal user wants to reject a PO, it has to provide some reason why the supplier portal user is rejecting a PO, or same goes with the PO dispute. And after that, we have supplier registration screen content. This is something that once the invitee has received an email, that email contains a link which and clicking on that button allows user to navigate to the sign up screen. Let me show you that. For example, there is a preview button, that I button. If I click on that, it will show me that it's how it's look like. For example, if I want to change this background color behind the Brucey logo, I can change that from here. For example, I want to change color from blue to green. I want to some differentiate. I can set that, and I can now preview that thing. So you see that color has changed accordingly to whatever I set in the background. And besides that, we can set terms and conditions that also appears on the user registration screen. Whatever we enters here, that will be appearing on the supplier user registration screen. For example, this is the demo terms and conditions. I wrote something. And if I go to this link, terms and condition, I will be able to see whatever terms and condition I entered in that section. Uh, After
Can
that,
I interrupt you for a minute, Sajid, and ask a
yep,
question? Those terms and conditions, do we have sort of pre-populated terms and conditions, or is this something that any client would need to add on their own?
yeah, we have by default terms and condition as well, and user can add any terms and condition whatever uh, user wants. And whenever we click on this reset button, it will reset back to the original terms and conditions which are provided.
And this is Nicole again. I should say that I didn't say at the top of the session, but we want this to be as conversational as possible because this is a really important tool for us to leverage. So if anyone in the organization has comments or questions, feel free to chime in. Yeah, watch out because Shaz is in the room. But and you can just kind of pause along the way too to give room for everyone to ask questions as they're absorbing all this great information. That would be great.
Yeah, of course, I'll be happy to take questions from anyone. Yeah, thank you. And uh, Nicole, should I proceed further?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So finally, on the supplier portal settings screen, we have support contact. For example, we can provide some email for contact, the phone numbers, the business hours, time zones. For example, if I go to the preview screen, for example, I have set here working hour from 9 to 6, business from days are Monday to Friday, and time zone is GMT +5. So if I go to again the preview screen, you can have this the phone number, email address, working hours, and we can set it accordingly whatever we want.
So
Okay.
let me stop. Mohammed Sajid, this is Shaz calling from you. Can that support contact, where does that live in the system? Does it live on just one page of the application?
Yeah, for now it's appearing on the registration page right now. The one I showed you through the preview, this one.
So that seems incomplete to me. If the
Yeah.
support contact exists on the registration page, this looks like a gap in our functionality because the support contact should live within the supplier portal when a supplier logs in.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree.
the registration page is only one. That's number
Yeah.
one. Number two is on the terms and conditions, who came up with the default language for the terms and conditions or any default text?
Right.
What group?
Yeah. Right now, we have a proper, fonts here. The default language is right now English. It's not, I don't believe that it's right now supporting the multiple languages, but I can note it down.
No, I'm sorry. Who came up with the content, the default content that is in the terms and conditions? Did we go to another website and take it from that website? What was the criteria by which we used to get the default content?
Right now, there is none. I have to discuss it with the Hugo and other persons. So whatever the default contact would be, we can set it whenever we want.
Okay, so we don't have a process right now. In other words,
yes,
we just
yes.
basically just auto-populate this without any review cycle. Okay, so this is an action item that I would like the Supplier Portal team to do. Out of this meeting, I would like to have a task force created because I've been working in the Supplier Portal pretty deeply, and there are a lot of gaps. The product is really beta right now. It might not even be beta, probably more alpha. So we really need to have a secondary meeting on that.
Of course.
And put some key players on this because this product is being demoed tomorrow to HEB.
Right.
Just to give you an example. Okay. All right. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
Can I ask a question? One of the things, is there any place within the invitation, or maybe it's on another screen that I just haven't seen yet? This is Nicole again, regarding best practices for invoices or best practices for using the portal, because I'm creating this supplier guide, and what I'm wondering, and maybe this is a question offline, is where can we put some support documentation? Is there a place where that lives right now so that the onus isn't on the client to then follow up and send an email to the portal users?
Yeah, that's a good point. I can, note it down. Either way, but right now, the thing you're asking.
Great. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is it right now from the Supplier Portal settings screen. Now, we move forward towards the user invitation. We have 3 places from where we can invite users to the Supplier Portal. I will walk through all of you one by one from all 3 places. First of all, we can invite users to the Supplier Portal from Supplier Record Model. For example, I'm using this supplier for this demo, and on Supplier Record Model, we have this tab, Supplier Portal, right? From here, we have the send invitee, and right now we have 2 roles in Supplier Portal: Supplier Administrator and Supplier User. Supplier Administrators can do things related to company profiles and user management, where on the other hand, Supplier User can do things which relates to a procurement business. So, for example, working on purchase orders, then creating shipment notices from those purchase orders, and then invoicing. So this is the first place from where we can invite a user. We can add user first name, last name, and we can assign role. Either it would be supplier user only, or it can be both supplier admin, supplier user, or it can be only supplier admin. Okay. And this is again that invitation subject which I just showed you guys from the settings screen. Whatever we set that over there, that would start appearing here, and the same thing will send out in the email to the invitee. Okay. This is
sorry to interrupt. This is Nicole again. So the understanding for our clients, would that potentially be that so the first time they invite a supplier to the portal, it really should be inviting kind of that master administrator, so to speak, So that, and then with that, we really want to toggle the administrator and user role, and also make sure that that person allows suppliers to be invited to, rather than to invite additional users. Would that be a better that we would help our clients understand?
Yes, yes, of course. Whenever you are creating a first ever, whenever you are inviting a first ever user for the supplier portal, that the supplier administrator toggle won't go off by default. Okay, it will turn on always whenever you are inviting the first ever user for the to the supplier portal. But once you have invited the first user, after that you can have the option to turn toggle off of either supplier administrator or supplier user. But for the first time, supplier administrator will always remain on.
Right. So guys, really quickly, as a general rule of thumb, as we advance our platform,
yeah,
and Nicole, maybe you can integrate into this as well. There's a lot of information on these screens where a user really does not know what this information is or what it does. Okay. If I were to look at this screen, I wouldn't really know what I need to do here. Okay. And today we solved this by creating little question marks with what we call content sensitive help based on certain fields. If we are going to progress in reshaping the way we approach our company and our platform, we also need to reshape how we think of how end users look at our technology and interact with it and make these settings, because they're very complex settings that, quite honestly, companies just don't know what to do, right? So we really need to figure out information, whether it is a heading that says this is what this section does, like we've done in certain areas of our application in the admin panel, or content sensitive help, or both. But there should be a defined strategy from product, and everything that we build should follow that. So there's a consistency. One of the major things I'd like this company to focus on is consistency, which this application does not have right now. Different looks and feels, different search bars, different, it's all inconsistent, quite honestly. So as you build applications, build it from the mindset that it has to have a design theme, it should have content sensitive help, and it should also provide level of information that people can understand how to use the application properly. Okay.
All right, so I think those are excellent action points, and let's keep moving on talking about that kind of invitation experience. And before you go back to your presentation, I just one more question about the message, because there's a different message in the associate environment. There's something that's more complete than what we're seeing here in the development environment, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then now I'm moving the second place from where.
I would like to say one thing over here. Can you open the screen which you have just closed?
Okay, give me a minute.
Go.
What do you have for me, Bilal?
Yeah. No, I can't see your screen. The screen is still, yeah, now I can see. Yeah, one thing I would like to say over here that the here it is there is a send invite. The person to whom we are sending the invitee is basically the system is allowing that person to become the supplier administrator or either supplier user. Am I right?
No, both. If we are turning those toggles on, it means that that user can have both roles at the same time, supplier administrator and supplier users, which means that that user can do administrative activities as well as order processing activities. Okay.
But as an administrator, we can do each and everything. And with the supplier user, we have less privileges. Am I right?
Of course. That's the idea behind this all.
Okay, thanks. Just want to clear about it.
Hey, Sajid, Sandeep here.
Yeah.
Can you
Yes.
hear me? Yeah,
Yeah, I can
this
hear.
perfect. On the screen, just a couple of points. As Shaz mentioned, for supplier administrator and supplier user, if you could have the question mark part, which could describe, one line what the administrator, how we differentiate the administrator role from the user role, that would be pretty useful for anyone who's navigating through the system. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, could you tell me the difference here between, we have the invitation subject and invitation message on this screen, but there was one in the settings screen on Supplier Portal. Why do we have the same thing twice?
I mean, we don't have the same thing twice. It's
Mhm.
something that let me show you.
Yeah, sure.
In this setting screen, we are defining the email subject and email message globally. So whenever we are going to send an invite to the invitee, by default that email subject and that email message start appearing in that invitee dialog box. Okay.
Okay.
But user or admins would have the liberty that they can manually customize their subject and email message on the spot whenever they are inviting some specific user. For example, I have set something, for example, demo. I would save it, and I go to suppliers. This is SV. I go to supplier portal user. You see, that's already updated. Okay, for example, if I want to invite some user, like for example, Mohammed or Sajid was SP demo, and I want that for that particular user, I want to have some specific invitation subject, for example, test. So I can do that from here right away instead of go back to the settings screen and change the global message which I set for invitation subject or invitation message, right?
Got it. Perfect. So templates are saved there and we can use those templates here is what you say.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay.
So
Perfect. Thanks,
maybe,
Sandeep.
Nicole, and maybe for Mohammed Sajid's benefit, what I would recommend on this meeting is this meeting with so many attendees, including myself, which Mohammed Sajid will be really enjoying, um, will invariably lead to a design session and some gaps. What I would recommend is that we have Mohammed Sajid actually kind of run through the base platform to educate us. And then we should be taking notes of items that we see, and then collectively come together as a company to do a design review collectively and share the input from all the participants. Because I can probably say most of the people on this call are going to have some great ideas and input, as well as Mohammed Sajid and the product owners. So maybe what we do is we have them run through the platform and the base scenarios, and then we table some of these items so that he can have some flow and consistency.
That's what I was thinking as well, and I
Okay.
think that's a great point to say, hey, keep the questions coming, but the suggestions maybe, let's pin into, follow-up meeting for sure.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Shaz. You have been always helpful to me. Okay, okay. So the other place from where we can invite user is again under the supplier portal link. We have users, so we can invite user from here, here, from here. But because from this point we are not, inviting the user from supplier records. So here we have to mention for supplier for what supplier we want to invite a supplier portal user. So for example, I want to invite a supplier for this supplier, same toggle supplier administrator, supplier user. You can see the same invitation subject, invitation message that we set in the settings section. And we can, manually, add or, remove something, whatever we want for some specific invitee. We can again do the same thing from here. And the third place is itself from the supplier portal. Okay. Uh,
And I think one of the
from
things that I had learned when I was testing this out is when you invite the supplier user and you enter their email, the @Veruzi that we just saw, that directly correlates to when they're set up in OCI, what kind of email account that you set up for the users in the supplier creation in OCI.
That let me explain you if if I'm not getting you wrong. For example, let me go back to supplier record, and if I show you one thing, uh, that on the basic info tab of the supply record module, you can see that in the contact information we have given the email Muhammad.sajid with the domain of veruzi.com. Okay, so whatever domain we are providing here, so the invitee users for now should be belong to the same domain as well. I mean, it's not like that. This supplier has the domain that, for example, gmail.com, and we can invite a user from, yahoo.com and live.com. It is, compulsory that whenever you are inviting a user that belongs to the same organization for which supplier portal exists. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So the third place from where we can invite user is supplier portal itself, but for that you have the rights for supplier administrator. And supplier administrator, uh, we have the users. We have the user section, and here in we can go and create user. That is a simple, create user model. You can provide first name, last name, email address. You can, same role, supplier administrator or supplier user, contact information, and so on. Okay, so let me create a supplier user for you guys first.
So I just want to pause really fast and say that, so now we're toggling back and forth now between the client, like the portal, and the supplier's portal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So
now
when you come back to the supplier portal, could you just give kind of an overview demo of the dashboard as well?
Okay, so you're asking me to skip that user invitation section, right?
Yeah, once you finish with creating the user, maybe come back to the dashboard.
Okay, it won't take much time. Just quickly, that for example, I'm inviting a user, Muhammad.sajid plus demo supply portal user. Let's say Sajid and add. Okay, so I am only allowing a supplier user role, and I am clicking the send invite, and okay. Okay, I'll have the email shortly. In the meanwhile, I'll move forward towards the supplier portal dashboard, and let's go through with this quickly. This is the supplier portal dashboard. We have, multiple document cards over here. For example, we have purchase orders document card, which shows us that we have in total 48 orders in supplier portal, and 48 orders are those which came to the supplier portal in last 24 hours. We have total 10 shipments, and this shows that the number of shipments which has been made for the buying organization in last 24 hours. This is this shows total number of invoices in the supplier portal application, and this shows that number of invoices which has been generated for the buying organization's PO in last 24 hours by supplier portal. And this one shows payments made by the buying organizations against the invoices which has been generated by the supplier portal. Okay, this is our task section. Task section includes all those items are required to be actions taken on by supplier portal users. For example, we right now we are showing three documents in task section on supplier portal. Number one, purchase order with ready status. number 2, purchase order with disputed status, and number 3, invoices with rejected status. Okay. So, I mean, for example, if I go to the purchase order with ready status, I can perform actions. For example, I can confirm order from here. I can update the shipment notice because shipment notice somehow exists already in the system. Uh, I can reject the order. I can dispute the order. I can open that purchase order by clicking that detail page. Okay. And I have this activity stream as well, which shows whatever activity uh, are happening in the application. So it shows in the chronological order. So let me go back and see if I have the receipt. Okay. So that is the email I received, the email I created. You can see this is the email, Mohammed Dostajir plus demo SPU, and it asked me to activate account. If I click on this activate account button, it will navigate me uh, uh, to the supply registration screen, which I showed you. You remember that I changed that color. It's still persisting there. I mean, that is the username which we provided. This is first name, last name. It is asking me to set the password, and I'm doing it right now. Uh, sorry. Okay. I will click complete registration, and it shows me that you have registered with the Bruzy Validation Supply Portal. Please click on the link below, log in and start using the Supply Portal. If I click here to log in, it will navigate me to the Supply Portal uh, login screen. Okay. So, okay, get back to the Supply Portal. If I refresh, yeah. So, okay. Uh, a task section I discussed about the activity screen. This is the KPIs coming from the looker. This is under, this work is under progress, and as soon as the layout for this reporting is finalized by the looker dashboard, that start appearing in this place where we are already seeing the different, reports, for example, sales trend by month, submitted invoices status, and so on.
Hi, Mohammed Sajid. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you please tell me the use case for the disputed invoice?
Okay, I'll come over there very soon. Okay, let me complete this thing first. Okay. Okay, so this is the dashboard. I hope we are good on the dashboard. I mean, I know, of course, there are a lot of suggestions you guys have for the improvement of the dashboard. I'll be taking notes from all of you after the presentation. Okay, I have created approved purchase request, and now I'm going to create a purchase order, because from purchase order onward, the supplier portal users actually gets involved in the business flow of the procurement. So okay, so this is the purchase request I have created. I had 2 items, laptop and keyboard. I will select them for sourcing. I'm going and prepare the PO for that. The supplier is supplier must speak, and shipping instruction, please deliver in business hours, voice comments, demo comments, and this is the purchase order, and these are the notes which I entered for supplier while creating the purchase request. Okay, and 329, so it's in processing. Very soon it will be marked as processed and submitted. Okay. Okay, so this thing, this order is ordered now. Purchase order is in ordered state. Now I go to Supplier Portal and I go to the purchase order screen. You can see that that same purchase order with the number of 3292 is here and in ready state. I can perform actions on that. First, I will complete the happy path from confirming to creating a shipment notice to creating a GR, then invoicing, and then I'll come to the dispute and other things. Okay. And so I'll open that purchase order. I want to confirm this purchase order to let the buying organization know that the supplier company has started working on the purchase order. So I'll click here and I'll confirm the order. It will ask me the optional notes. Looks good.
If I can interrupt real quickly while you're typing in those notes,
Yeah, of course,
I just wanted to add that the supplier user is notified that they have a new purchase order. So they get a notification email as well. So they are notified via email. They can also see the new PO on their dashboard, and then they can also go down to purchase orders to find that new purchase order as well. So there's two ways within the portal, and there's one way via email that they receive that notification, correct?
Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
see
of course.
what an email looks like? Well, does an email show up in the supplier inbox, and what does it look like?
Yeah, of course. Give me a second.
Maybe an action item out of this is, Mohammed started just to get the list of all the notifications in the system. That'll be relevant to the supplier.
And you know what, I have one, so maybe at the end of your session today, when we're I'd love to hear everyone's, thoughts. We're gonna talk about leveraging the portal and things like that. I'll share that screenshot, so we don't have to
Okay.
time you're looking for.
Cool. Sorry, Evan, you had a question?
I just wanted to point it out because I thought it was a great feature that they do receive that email. There's just lots of ways they can stay present and connect back to the portal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will purchase order emails to the customer have a link to Supplier Portal in it?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'd say we can move on because I can grab that email.
Yeah, Shaz, this is the email. The purchase order has been submitted to Amna SP, and by clicking here, he can see the purchase order. Okay.
Okay.
And they can. What I should note too is that you can see who the buyer is, and then you can also see
This one.
I want to call it the date. Yeah, you can see the date. And then you can also, on that page, also see the notes from the buyer to the supplier down at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. Look, this is appearing that demo notes to supplier, which I entered in the notes to supplier.
Okay, wonderful.
And what I like about this too is that it's consistent with the client's experience in terms of their email. So if they ever had a supplier who had a question, they could kind of confidently be the subject matter expert on this email.
Fantastic. So there's no PDF attachment, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I have a suggestion. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would recommend that first we will, regarding this training of the different modules. First, the trainer should give us the training of the module truly and give a circle of the training, and then we will have a question and answering session. That would be better.
I don't know if I quite understood that. Was that directed towards me for training?
Okay, we can talk on that later.
Yeah, we
I
can talk
guess.
about that offline.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we were confirming the purchase order. Okay. So I am providing the optional notes for PO confirmation. I click it, and you see that purchase order has been removed from the ready tab, and it's started appearing in the confirmed tab of the PO, and its status is confirmed. Let me show you how it reflects in supply in PMAN for the buyer user. Okay. Um, okay. Let me log in with the buyer. Mm, Go to PO status screen in progress, and you can see that the same purchase order 3292, its status has changed to confirmed. Okay. And if I go there and if I go to the notes section, you can see that all the notes are appearing, whatever entered by the supplier. For example, uh, order confirmation notes looks good, PO confirmed. Okay, so that were the notes I provided at the time of PO confirmation. It started appearing in the note section for that PO. Okay, now I go back to the supplier portal, and now I'm going to create a shipment notice for the confirmed PO. So I click here. I can do it from its details screen as well. So let me do this time from the status screen. I can create a shipment notice for that. Let me enter some SP demo 123. That is the supplier ASN number which can be provided. So the shipping date cannot be older than the PO submission date. Okay, so that's why, I mean, that is submitted today, so it cannot be older than uh, the date on which the PO has been submitted. That's where all the previous dates are appearing inactive. So I can select, for example, shipping date 10, and you see, and now next date is delivery date. Delivery date cannot be an older date than the shipping date. So you see, I selected the date 10. So you see, all the previous dates are, I mean, appearing disabled. So I have to select the same day of the shipping date, or the day from the future. For example, I'm selecting 12th day, so it's allowing me to select. We can select carrier from the drop down. Let's say FedEx. It can be a tracking number for 1234. I mean, we can provide tracking URL from the shipping company. I don't have it right now, some logic for, but for example, let's say www google.com, and shipping method by road, by air, whatever it is. Okay. And the one thing is that we can create partial ASN against any specific purchase order. For example, I had a purchase order which has two line items: laptop, keyboard. I, as a supplier, I think that, okay, right now I can deliver the laptop but not the keyboard. So what all I need to do is to select this thing and delete one item. I will delete that, and you just see that counter increased to 1. Okay. So and whenever I want to add all the items of the PO in the shipment notice, I can do it. For example, I go back to that pending item section. I click that. You see that the remaining item or the pending item of the corresponding purchase orders appearing in that section with its outstanding quantity. I click here, it will auto, I mean, select it and drag back to the ASN notice screen. Okay. So and this quantity is capped with the quantity which is stated or mentioned in the purchase order. So I cannot do it too. The red box would get highlighted as red, which means that you're not allowed to process, and you see the submit button is not enabled. So as soon as I enter the right quantity, the submit button will get enabled. So I enter notes to buyer, all items of PO are being shipped. Submitted, and it is so you see uh, 887. Sorry. Let me go to the shipment notice screen, and you can see that 887 ASN is marked as shipped, and its corresponding PO 23292. As soon as all the product items of the purchase orders are are marked as shipped through the shipment notice, the purchase order status will also change as shipped. If I go to the buying organization's buyer's account, and if I show you the status of the same purchase order, you can see that the same thing, 3292 is also started appearing as shipped in the buying organization's portal. Okay. So this is where the buying organization comes back into the business flow. Uh, and let me show you the few email notifications in the meanwhile that So now, yeah, we have marked the purchase orders as shipped through creating ASN. So now uh, the buying organization comes back into the business flow, and they are required to create a goods receipt in order to mark that purchase order or its corresponding ASN as received. So I go to the shipment notices screen. I have this one, and as soon as the buying organization would receive the shipment of the corresponding purchase order, it will go to ASN, either from ASN or either from purchase order. It will start, it will create a GR. So just one thing we should keep in mind, that creating a goods receipt from an ASN does not mean that we are creating a goods receipt against ASN. In fact, it's just another way to create a GR for the corresponding PO. As you can see that it also mentions the corresponding purchase order number. Okay. So we can, create the goods receipt from that. And as soon as we create a goods receipt, the advance shipment notice status would be marked as received. So if I go to its corresponding purchase order, it would also be marked as received, and purchase order cannot be marked as received until its all items are included in the goods receipt. Okay, so if I go there, and you can see that this purchase order also marked as received. Let me go back to the supplier portal, show you the relevant shipment notice. You can see that that is also marked as received, and its corresponding purchase order has also marked as received here. So now what I want to create an invoice. Since the supplier portal user knows that its shipped purchase order has been received, now he will be going to create an invoice against that. Okay, so these are the notifications that sent to the buying organization that your purchase order has been shipped. So this includes the company name and on what date the purchase order has been shipped, the relevant corresponding purchase request number, purchase order number, the supplier information, and the supplier user who shipped that purchase order. Okay, and after that, the next thing we have that yeah, it's this email is coming received for the supplier portal user to intimate that it's that user itself that you have created an ASN and submitted for the corresponding PO, and that number is also mentioned here. Okay, and this marks that ASN has been received. Okay, so back to the purchase ASN number. Okay, I want to create, since purchase order has been received, now I want to create the invoice for that purchase order. So I simply go to the ASN notice. Again, flipping invoice through ASN does not mean that you are creating invoice for ASN. In fact, it's another way, and you are creating invoice for the relevant or corresponding purchase order for this. Let me show you that 3292, we are creating an invoice on the received shipment notice, and you can see that
What would be also good, Nicole, is a definition matrix, terminology matrix of all of these new documents, including advanced shipping notice. This is other technical terms.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, because that's for me on.
yeah, advanced shipping term notices are used typically in manufacturing operations, where suppliers basically send you a notice that there's a delivery coming. And the reason why they send these is because these manufacturing operations and warehouses, they only have certain times where they'll open up and receive these shipments, right? Because it's a pretty big intake process. Some of these shipments can be truckloads. So it's just letting the company know, hey, by the way, there's a big truck coming your way. We're going to dump some stuff off at your warehouse stop. And that's why they send advanced shipping notices at a high level.
okay, guys, now I'm creating an invoice. You see that's the corresponding purchase order number. I have to upload some image here, and I mean some supplier invoice number, invoice date, payment dates, for example, this one, and 30. So okay, I am submitting that invoice, and okay, so that purchase order has been invoiced, and you can see that started appearing, that purchase order has been invoiced. Okay, so let's get back to the buying organization portal and log in with the AP processor or AP manager user who can do actions on the invoices which has been generated and sent back to the buying organization. Okay, so this was the invoice which has been generated by Supplier Portal and sent to the buying organization. I'll open this thing. I'll do assign to me, and okay. Okay, sorry.
So while you're doing the just say that I think we're going to run about 15 minutes over, folks. So those of you who can stay on, please do. But if you can't, again, the session is going to be recorded. So again, thanks to those who've come and need to hop off at this point.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is the very last of the available business flow on this StepQSX server. I'm going to submit this invoice and let's say assign it to someone.
While you're on this, I just want to say that what I like too is, again, the buying organization's experience with the invoice, the look and feel of it is very similar as well for the buyer user.
Sorry, come again?
Oh, I was just saying that I like that the optics for both the supplier user as well as the buyer user and AP team looks the same.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to approve invoice approved, and that's it. Uh, okay. So it will mark as approved in the buying organization's purchase manager, but for the supplier portal, let me mark this thing. For supplier portal, it will stay as pending. Why it will stay as pending? Because approval doesn't make any difference. Invoices approval doesn't make any difference for the supplier portal unless it is paid. So for the next thing from after the approval of invoice is that the buying AP user can go forward and submit it for posting, and then it goes to the third party tool for payment. For example, QuickBooks. Unfortunately, we don't have it, I mean, configured on this server. I mean, so once the payment will be made through that third-party tool QuickBooks, that status would be marked as paid, and you can see that in supplier portal payments, it will start appearing as paid or partially paid, depending on that if the invoice has been paid fully through the third-party payment tool, or it has been paid partially through the third-party payment tool. Okay. So this is the happy flow we are having right now. The one thing in the start that one has asked me about, what is the business case for the PO dispute. Okay, so let me quickly go through that, and then I'll hand things over to Nicole. Okay, so the disputed thing is that for some reason, for example, let me go to the buying organization. He will dispute the purchase order. He will select any predefined reasons. For example, I mean, let's say there are only two reasons right now that will be adding up before the December release. A lot of predefined reasons. For example, I select other and I say that uh, category for the line items are not correct. Okay, so I submit that, and you can see that disputed purchase order has been moved from ready tab to attention tab, and its status is also changed as disputed. So let me show you from here from the dashboard. So it is also appearing here as disputed, and if I go back to the buying organization purchase manager to let me log in with the buyer. Mm, and the status. Yeah, you can see that this one. It also marked as disputed here. So right now, this business flow, I mean, we are stick with this business flow. In the December release, we are making it further, I mean, in order to complete the business flow of the complete procurement cycle. For example, as soon as supplier portal, I mean, disputes the PO, buying organization will have the authority to either cancel that purchase order with the disputed status, or buying organization would be able to create a change request for the purchase order and change the purchase order accordingly as supplier user asked, and then resubmit it. And then the same I mean, procurement life cycle which I just showed you guys will, I mean, instigate it for the I mean, change purchase order. In that case, of course, with the initiation of purchase order change request on the disputed PO, the version number will also get updated as soon as the change request has been submitted. So this is pretty much it. I believe that we have covered everything. I mean, we have covered purchase orders, then we have covered shipment notices, then we have covered invoices, uh, and we have also discussed the dashboard as well. So this is pretty much it for, for now on the supplier portal. So over to you, Nicole.
Great, thank you. Before I take back presenter rights, any questions from the attendees?
Yeah, I would like to, Mohammed, I would like the invoice. Could you go to that?
Where? What did you say? Sorry, you just voice just broke.
The invoice section, invoice.
Okay. What do you want? Okay.
So you are using the supplier user for this invoice section, or you are
Yeah.
using a AP processor?
Mm-hmm.
Which
So you
one you
want
are
me to go?
using?
Where do you want me to go? From AP user's account or from supplier portal's account?
Okay, the supplier portal also. I have a question over here that the supplier user also have the access to the invoices.
Of course, because in the actual business flow of the procurement, I mean, it's usually the suppliers who generate the invoices initially, and then that invoice, and then that those invoices usually work upon by the buying organization.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Mohammed, this is Shaz. What would be good is to see the flow, maybe in a separate meeting, as it relates to invoices that are processed by the accounts payable team and then brought into the supplier portal for a supplier to see. So the reverse.
Yes, Shaz. I mean, I mean, particular section of the procurement business flow is under development, and of course, we need, and we of course we will be requiring your valuable input on that as well. So as soon as, I mean, I mean, come to a certain point where we can show you how that will be, how that's working, I will definitely, I mean, demo you for that as well.
Okay. And then, do we have a functionality matrix built out that talks about all of the features in the portal that we have right now in a development environment or a test environment, and then what is coming?
Shaz, I don't, I'm not sure about the matrix, but yes, a month ago I prepared a presentation in which we, I mean, defined what, I mean, what was ready at that point and what is coming down the road. So, I mean, I or Hugo or Nopal can share with you that presentation if that satisfies you. Otherwise, I mean, however you want us to create something, we can do it for you.
Yeah, and I have some training collateral materials that I have either been created or I'm working on as well, so we can get together on that.
Yeah, I mean, my major driver here, team, is we're in flight with projects right now, and we need to know exactly what is available for our clients and what is coming and when.
Yeah.
And it's very, very critical we get that information as soon as possible. So if it's a presentation, if it's an Excel sheet, whatever information you're maintaining, please do share that with Nicole and team.
Of course.
Okay. So I'm going to take back presenter rights, and I think where I want to end this session with is two things, is to talk about, first of all, reference that, we appreciate everyone's attendance today. Like everything any of us ever creates at Veruzy, this is a work in progress. And so everyone's feedback and attendance as we learn together and we grow this tool together is particularly important. I always want any sort of events that we have here, it should be a safe place for people to ask questions, provide feedback, and just always lead with curiosity. So I appreciate everyone's participation today. There'll be a couple of questions that I'll send out in a short knowledge check, as I mentioned, via email. Those who complete that knowledge check and turn that in and have correct answers, we're going to do a raffle for a card. For the information you're in, you're eligible for that. You just email me those answers once I get that out. And I will wait a good 24 hours so that everyone who didn't attend today can have the opportunity to listen to the recording. And then the last thing that I want to leave everyone with is probably another discussion for another time, but just to start thinking about how can we leverage the portal? So how can we leverage it with prospective clients and also with our current clients? So there's a lot that we took on today. And I'm sure that we're going to have individual kind of team discussions and hopefully come together as a team again to discuss some of this. But just any kind of like initial thoughts, while we maybe have like 5 more minutes today from anyone on the call.
I can say that with prospective clients, whenever we bring up Supplier Portal within a demo, there's just a very high level of enthusiasm around this product. Obviously, it is a work in progress, and we are still making sure we can achieve excellence with it. But as a standard, I think that it's really an asset to have in our solution that is a differentiator with other prospective solutions. I don't know if Evan wants to say anything else, but I think everything he has demoed to clients shows a great deal of support for this kind of functionality.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough to demo this because there hasn't been a live demo Supplier Portal. It's been very, very, very basic. So a lot of the times when I demo, I'm more explaining it than showing it. So as soon as that goes live demo, I'm sure that'll pick up too. Once we able to actually show it to prospective clients. As far as leveraging it, I think, like I said, including a Supplier Portal link to any email notifications go to suppliers to try to get user adoption up would probably be great.
Yeah, there's some opportunity to drive clients once we start using it, or suppliers once we start using it for one client. We want them the suppliers, right, to reach out to us and say, hey, we want to use this for all of our clients and be kind of that one-stop shopping.
Well, one of the things I would do is, Veruzy today as a company leverages one component of our tool, which is our expense management tool. Okay, that's the process by which you create expense reports as an employee. I would also like a mandate that our Supplier Portal is leveraged for all of our contractors, our vendors that do business with us, and we use this technology internally so that we can actually have one point of contact for vendors to submit data to. I don't know how we operationalize that, but that would be really something I think that would push us in a proper direction as well.
Any other thoughts from anyone on the call?
what's the revenue stream of this product? Like, do suppliers pay a subscription to leverage it? How does this product bring revenue to the company?
Hey, Kenneth, is that Kenneth?
Yes.
We're throwing darts at a wall right now, quite honestly. We don't have a cohesive structure in terms of how we're pricing this out. What we are doing is, it is a transaction fee free network, and we're basically putting a monthly subscription fee that a buying company would pay for in leveraging the supplier portal for X number of suppliers. So if a buying company has 100 suppliers, we would give them a flat fee per month of $1,000. That's the pricing today. There are obviously a lot more monetization opportunities within the platform that we need to look at and analyze. If you guys have ideas, absolutely welcome to share those as well. Maybe that's a separate meeting that we hold also. We don't have a very cohesive monetization strategy on the supplier portal to date.
Oh, okay. No, that's a question. It's part of a subscription for clients using the other parts of the application to get their suppliers on board. Okay. Okay, cool.
Correct. Right now, as it's currently constituted.
Any other questions or kind of thoughts on leveraging the portal? All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and particularly thank you to Mohammed and the product team for working so hard on our portal. It's something that we, as an organization, can really feel proud of, where it's going to be, where it is, and the path to success to get there. So thank you, everyone. I will send out the recording a little while later today, and happy learning.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Mohammed. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks so much, Mohammed.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sergeant.